Now, as the owner, you have a very short window of time to stop the foreclosure. As I previously discussed in the stages of foreclosures, the time frame that you have to stop the foreclosure is very limited. And there's really, I've narrowed it down to the 5 big mistakes that homeowners end up making over and over and over that either cost them time, money, or eventually their home. So I'm going to talk about these 5 different mistakes that homeowners will make on a consistent, persistent basis, time after time after time, meeting homeowners at their kitchen table. I see this so often, and that they're making one or more of these mistakes on a regular basis. Now, the very first one is they wait too long to take action. A lot of times, homeowners are contacting me once the home is actually just about to go into foreclosure. So, meaning that the bank is just about to take title of the home. So they've gone through, I live in a judicial sale process, so they've gone through the entire process, all the different stages, right up to the time of the bank or the lender is about to take title of the home. So that's typically up to 9 months. So for 9 months, they've basically not solved their problem or reached out to anyone to solve their problem, or they did some other things, but they waited too long to actually take action. Now, the longer that you wait to take action, the more money you lose and the less help you're going to be able to find. Because the closer it gets to the bank taking over the title, typically it means there's more fees involved that have to be paid out, which means it eats into the equity. And it also means that there's less time to actually make something happen, because when it gets close to that time frame, now it's not all about just paying out the arrears. Now the bank actually wants the entire mortgage to be paid out, which means the only way to solve it is to pay out the arrears, the fees, and the mortgage, which means that the house has to be sold. There's no other way to do it. You either have to get the full amount of the entire mortgage fees and arrears, and that's the only way that it's going to be solved. Whereas if they would have taken action earlier, they could have got away with just paying out the arrears and the fees and not had to actually pay out the entire mortgage. So a lot of times, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they wait too long to actually take action, when even an investor, it's very difficult for an investor to actually help them out. Now, the second thing I see a lot from homeowners that actually contact me is they end up getting ripped off by someone claiming to be able to help them help them out with the foreclosure, stop the foreclosure, and these people actually ask them for money. So the homeowner ends up paying $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 to some company or some service that says, pay us this money and we'll help you stop the foreclosure process. And all they do is they give this similar advice as to what I give for free, meaning I educate the homeowner as to what's going to take place, what the strategies are, if there's equity there, what their solutions are, how potentially they could solve the problem. Remember, there's only one way to solve the problem, that's to pay out the arrears and the fees, but what strategies potentially they could use to solve the problem. And these companies are just ripping people off, giving them basically no help. And I see it over and over and over again. So they're preying on the stress, the misfortune, the desperation of the homeowner who's facing foreclosure. They're preying on them and taking what little money they actually do have, in hopes that, the homeowner's hoping that these people are going to be their savior. And 99.99 times out of 100, all they do is just take people's money, and they don't actually perform any services, and they just tell the homeowner that there's nothing they can do. Or if there's a lot of equity in their home, they basically will give them an offer to buy their home. So typically, they're investors, and they're just taking people's money, looking for deals. And if there's a good deal, meaning that there's a lot of equity in somebody's home, then they're coming in trying to swoop in and steal the person's home for basically next to nothing, offering them as little as possible, plus taking their $1,500 or $2,000. So a lot of people really get ripped off. I've talked to a lot of people who've paid companies that actually do this, and with no results. So that's a mistake that homeowners make on a regular basis. Now, the third thing is they bury their head in the sand and they think it's just going to go away. They wait till the very end when they're served their notice that they're actually being foreclosed on, or when they actually need to be evicted. So by then it's way too late. So they just ignore everything. They bury their head in the sand, hope it goes away, don't answer the phone, they don't answer the door, and all of a sudden one day the bailiff shows up and throws them out of the house. And makes arrangements for them to come back and get their stuff. So don't make that mistake, because you're just going to end up losing money, losing time, and basically you're going to end up out of your home eventually. Now, the fourth thing is they think that the bank and the bank's lawyer is there to help them. They talk to their local banker, who tells them just to pay what they can, and they continually tell them, no, just make payments, pay whatever you can, pay whatever you can. Now, the homeowner typically will end up making payments, never really getting caught up, thinking that they're paying their mortgage, but really they're only paying the missed back payments or paying towards the arrears, but they end up missing their current payments. So they eventually are still going to get foreclosed on. Basically, the bank's strategy is try to get as much money out of the homeowner as humanly possible before they actually take over the title. So that's the fourth mistake the homeowners make, is they believe that the banks are their friends and they just keep paying them, without actually realizing that if they don't pay it all in full, that the bank is still going to foreclose on them. So if they know that they can't pay it all in full within a very short period of time, they're better off paying nothing and taking action as to getting out of the home, selling it as soon as possible, or lease optioning it, and saving the money that they do have to move on to another place, because they're going to have to do that anyway. And the fifth and final thing is they end up regretting not doing something as soon as they miss their first couple of payments. So that's the biggest mistake that homeowners make, is they always come back to me, I wish I'd known about you, when I missed my first couple payments. I wish I'd known, about the process before I actually went through it. So that's the fifth and final mistake, is they regret not doing anything, not taking action until it's way too late. So as a homeowner, don't make these 5 mistakes that so many others make. Now, remember, there's only one way to stop the foreclosure, and by taking action early on in the process, you have a number of options available to you, a number of different ways that you can solve the problem. The longer you wait, the less options that you actually have. I'm not here promoting my program. I'm just here to educate to people that potentially might be going into foreclosure, or if they know somebody's going into foreclosure, to definitely educate themselves about the process, the different types of foreclosure, the different stages, and basically pound the one and only thing in their head, that the only way to stop foreclosure is that they actually have to pay out the arrears and the fees. If they do not see a way to do that in the next 14 days, 28 days, if at the point in time when they're either missed the first couple of payments or they're served the statement of claim, if they do not see a clear exit strategy for themselves, meaning they can't come up with the money without winning the lottery, if they can't figure something out within the next 14 days, that they have to come to the conclusion that they need to get outside help. They need to find somebody that has that can help them with some strategies of either selling the home quickly, or and typically selling the home quickly means they're selling to an investor, and they're not selling it for top dollar. They're selling it at sort of a quick sale price, but in the long run, because they're selling it today quicker than they would be selling it 6 months from now, when the fees and the arrears are keep adding up, where they're holding out for that top dollar, but all the fees, the arrears, the lawyer's fees keep adding up and adding up and adding up. At the end of the day, they're netting less. They net less by waiting longer to get that top dollar. So for them to understand that is crucial, and for homeowners and investors to really understand this process is key. And but that's all the time that I have for today. Thanks for joining me on Real Estate Investing Monday. I want to, for showing up, for sharing your comments, for coming along with me. So I just wanted to thank you, and hopefully you got a lot of value. Be sure to share this with your friends, any colleagues, anyone you might know who either is an investor or even if they're a homeowner. There's a lot of good information in here, especially in these troubling times when a lot of people are out of work. They potentially are things are very tight. They potentially could be missing some payments. So this is some valuable information as to the strategies, the processes, the procedures, the stages. And remember, there's only one way that you can stop a foreclosure, and that's to pay out the arrears and the fees. Nothing else works. It's just a matter of coming up with a strategy of how you're going to get that money to pay out those arrears. So stick with me I'll be right back with today's closing remarks. But I want to thank you very much for joining me on today's show. And I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show. But just stick with me. I have some closing remarks for today's show. Thank you. Hey, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe show. Now, being faced with foreclosure can be a very stressful time for the homeowner. Many times they just want to bury their head in the sand, hoping it'll all go away. Ultimately, that's the worst thing they could ever do. Now, if you're facing foreclosure or you know of somebody facing foreclosure, the best advice that I can give you right now is to act now to stop the foreclosure. Many people who want to stop foreclosure do not even know where to turn when they're confronted with the pending foreclosure. They don't understand the process. They're unsure as to what's going to happen. They don't know how little time they have and how it affects the money that they're going to make or lose in the long run. Now, as a homeowner, you need to realize that things are different. The bank is not your friend. The lawyer for the bank is not your friend. They're only out there looking out for the best interests of the banks. Now, you may have a great relationship with your local loans manager. However, once that file gets kicked up to the legal department, there's nothing your local banker can do. It's really a big greedy machine looking out for their own best interests. Now, the best thing you can do as a homeowner or investor working with people going into foreclosure is to really get educated, understand the process in your area, understand the time frames, and take quick and decisive action. Now, as a homeowner, holding out for top dollar on a sale typically can leave you in trouble, since the average selling time through a realtor plus closing time can be more than your redemption period, and you're going to end up losing the majority of the money that you're holding out for in the end. Plus, the amount of stress that you put yourself under waiting for that sale to close can cause serious damage to you and your family. Now, it's important for a homeowner to understand if they can't come up with the money themselves to stop the foreclosure, then they need to realize that they're going to have to leave the home. The quicker they come to that realization and take the steps to sell or lease option their home, the better off they'll be in the long run. Now, working with someone who understands and specializes in foreclosures is important. Someone who can review your options and help you determine your best course of action. Now, many people facing foreclosure hope that they'll figure something out or a miracle will come along and we'll all be better. A lot of these people I've met with and helped are just scared. They don't know where to turn, they don't know what to expect next, and they don't know what choices or options that they may have available to them to stop the foreclosure. Now, many homeowners seek advice from their attorney, only to have to sell their home at the end while they get very little, if any, money at all and have a nice lawyer's bill to pay as well. So get educated and take action quickly. So thanks for watching today's John A. McCabe Show. For more information about today's topic, please contact me through johnamccabe.com or contact me via the show's Facebook page. So I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. We have another great guest on talking about entrepreneurship and accelerating their authority. So please join me on tomorrow's John A. McCabe Show for some more great information. Look forward to seeing you then. Take care.